Hello, everyone. Welcome to MyCHN podcast, Health Conversations Without Barriers. This is Mariela and the marketing team.
Hi all, I'm Olga.
Hi, I'm Lulu.
Benjamin.
And today we have a guest with us. She is Mariah Davis. She's the HIV patient navigator at Community Health Network. Thank you for being here, Mariah.
Thank y'all for having me. Hello, everyone.
So, Mariah, about a few weeks ago, we wanted to let everyone know about what we're doing at CHN, right? And what is a new line of service that we have here. And next month, because we're already in November, time flies. It's going to be its National HIV/AIDS Awareness. We wanted to dig a little bit deeper about what is HIV, how does it affect in the community, and what we can do here to help the community. I just want you to start by just giving us the basic definition of what HIV is and how it is transmitted.
Okay, sure. HIV actually stands for human immunodeficiency virus. It basically goes through and attacks your body's immune system. It starts off with flu-like symptoms, and sometimes the symptoms can possibly go away for a while, that is. But it's spread through intravenous drug use and quite often sexual activity, whether it be vaginal, anal, or oral, most likely without the use of any form of protection.
That actually sounds a little bit scary because who has here not had like a flu symptom, right? So you would think, and now you're just saying that it might go away. So you might feel bad for like a week or two, and then you're like, oh, it's gone. It's just a flu. So it's a little bit scary to think about.
It is, but the issue really, you've got to know your body. You've got to pay attention. And this virus is still spreadable even when the symptoms go away. So you just have to know your body.
Point. So can you explain a little bit more about what know your status is and why is it important to know your status?
Oh, sure. Well, there are quite a few people who are carrying HIV, but they're unaware. The CDC states around 40% of those carrying are unaware that they are even positive. So it's important for everybody to get tested at least once in your lifetime, preferably every new partner. And here at CHN, we have a test that takes about 15 minutes. It's a finger prick. You can wait on your results, or we could possibly text or call. But in about 2 months, we're going to go down to a test that is only 60 seconds. So you will know before you leave us.
So you're saying 15 minutes. And one of the things is usually people think that you have to go and see a provider to get a test. Is that the case?
No, you actually can see one of us. You can book a test online, and we quite often do different events, and we could just possibly be at anyone's health fair. And we bring a big giant mobile unit, and the testing is private.
So, Mariah, I have another question because I know there's a lot of stigma behind HIV, and I just want to know, how I can kind of move away from that and don't feel maybe embarrassed to do the HIV test. And maybe there's some difference in society from before and now, how the HIV is perceived.
Oh, definitely. There have been so many advances made in the care of HIV that while there is still a stigma, what I'm discovering as I go out and test and encourage people to test is education makes all the difference. Like, people are scared when I first start talking, but as I continue and tell them about all the advancements, they're usually excited to test and encouraging others to test.
All right. So now we're going to go a little bit back and just think about the sex education that we got when we were in high school, which I don't remember really having one. Maybe it was a 15-minute one, but I guess maybe they integrate it now. Who knows? Can we share our experiences in relation to how they talk about HIV when we were in school and how that impacted our views on the disease?
Well, sure. I'm probably quite a bit older than you guys. I grew up in the late 80s and 90s in Mississippi. I don't believe I had a whole lot of sex education, as well as I grew up in such a small rural area. It was more like we just don't talk about it, you know. But at the same time, we all knew somebody that by today's standard would be considered as high risk. So just what I've learned from that time to now, because I actually lost a cousin to AIDS, would be that it is necessary to talk about it. It's necessary to talk about it. And then we have all these, different forms of treatments and so forth. The more we know, the better care we can receive.
Absolutely, I agree. I do think that schools should teach a little bit more about, sex education and HIV. Back in the day, for me, we had a little bit of HIV, like maybe one lesson, one time, so we were all aware about it. But, I think it should be on a little bit different level. As a part of sex education. And I know these days, schools and parents initiate those conversations with kids, so they are able to protect themselves in the future.
I would say I grew up in El Salvador when I was a kid, and usually the sex education that they give you is, if you have sex, you're gonna get pregnant. And in El Salvador, actually, they kick you out of school if you're pregnant. So if
Mm.
you're in eighth or ninth grade, you get pregnant, you're out because it's seen as like a shame upon, but also it makes the school look bad. But
Mm.
now as an adult, I think about it makes the school look bad because the school should have had
Mm.
education to prevent this. Um,
Mhm.
but back then, HIV was seen as, only gay people have it and only prostitutes have it. That's
Mhm.
everything that I literally knew until, you grow up and you become educated where, anyone can have it. I mean, the same
Mhm.
way everyone catches, like you say, like either a flu or
Mhm.
any, I don't know, like, how COVID like spread, anyone can have it. So
Right.
that was my education when I was a kid.
Yeah, so that brings us more to like that stigma that we used to have, but I think now we're moving we're moving forward, and we not having as much stigma, which also brings me to a question for you, Mariah. Is like you said, the risk um population, or like the risk uh area, is or people that are in risk, who are they, and are they different from before to now, if that makes sense?
Are you asking like have the people who are at risk changed?
Yes.
Well, from previous years, people who tend to be most at risk tend to be, without breaking it down by demographics, would be those intravenous drug users, as well as those who maybe are under the influence while with the sexual partner, possibly not using any form of protection. It's going to be along the lines of no protection and multiple partners. Those are the people who tend to be the most at risk.
I want to still keep talking about education and how it's kind of changed over the years. I know
Mhm.
for me, it was actually a class. So I don't know when they started to implement such sex education, but I know I had to take it. I want to say either my junior or senior year.
Oh.
But it wasn't a class that was super long, and it felt like super awkward. And I think
Mhm.
that's just because I mean, like, you don't really want to talk about sex with your teachers, but and then HIV, and I think what they did is that they categorize. So like the lesson would be about HIV, AIDS, and then all the other STIs, and so they just kind of put that into one session. We talked about all of them, and then we moved on. So
Mm.
I don't know if they still do it like that. I've been out of high school for a couple of years now, but I remember it just being like they just gave us the information. This is how you can get it. Try not to get it. And that was pretty much it. So, and I think because of that, or I'm not sure, but I think because of that, there still is some stigma in communities because of how little we talk about it. So can we talk a little bit more about like what other reasons we think that's like that stigma is still there, and what can we do to kind of suppress it?
I guess I kind of keep going back to education, because just really as far as me going out and doing the outreach portion, I've noticed from the first time I started testing till recently, yes, I did have people kind of running away and kind of saying, well, I don't do that. And, that doesn't apply to me. But some of those same people, as I continue to test, eventually will come when they realize I have a mobile unit and it's private and everybody else is doing it. They kind of come and join in. I still think a lot of it is based on education and someone just kind of going around talking. But also, like, now we've been living through a pandemic. A lot of what we have focused on has been COVID, and we've kind of forgotten so many of the other things that are out there. We've forgotten that they're still spreading, they haven't gone away. So just as I go out and just talk to people, I've seen a huge difference in how they react when I first come in and tell them what I'm there for versus how they react when I'm done with my presentation.
Yeah, I think that's a good point. I think once people know that it it's good to know about your status, and that when you see someone, it is private, so it's not that your information is out there. I think that's also helpful. So we're gonna switch gears a little bit to talk about kind of how far we've gotten in terms of treatment and in terms of prevention. So in a previous podcast, we talked a little about PrEP, but I want us to talk some more about it. PrEP is a prescription drug given to those who feel that they are at high risk for HIV. Can you talk a little bit more about what it is? How does someone even know they're high at risk? What do they need to do in terms of the steps to getting it?
Oh, sure. PrEP actually stands for pre-exposure prophylaxis. It's for people who are high risk, as in, I think I talked about it earlier, sexual activity without contraceptives and sharing of needles during intravenous drug usage. PrEP is for those who have not been diagnosed with HIV. They're just at a higher risk. It can stop you from getting it if you take this one pill a day. You can come to CHN and see a provider, and they could possibly prescribe it for you. And as long as you take this once a day, you should, your chances are really low of contracting HIV.
And what forms does PrEP come in? Is it just a pill, or is there other forms?
I believe CHN will be offering it as a pill. It is offered as a shot as well.
That's really interesting.
How affordable is that medication?
Well, with CHN, obviously we have eligibility and we have the ADAP program and a few other things. We can get it to where it is affordable for the individual that comes in to get it.
And how effective would you say? Because I feel like when it comes to medication and when it comes to anything preventative, you always just want to be sure that it's effective. How effective would you say it is?
It's definitely highly effective. I'm not sure exactly a number. I believe I have seen a number. I don't want to say it because I'm not positive, but it's definitely considered as highly effective.
Okay.
Are there any side effects to it?
As far as PrEP is concerned, I am not sure about any side effects.
But they do still need to see a provider regardless.
Most definitely. They can call the CHN hotline.
Do you think at some point it's going to become like, like Plan B, that you can just go and get it? Which honestly, I think that one of the things, while I understand why it's done the way it is now, where you have to see a provider, I do think that maybe that might be kind of a barrier, right? Because people might not want to see a provider to get it. So do you think at some point it's just going to become like Plan B? You can just, going into a pharmacy and get it?
That's definitely a possibility, but this is something that you have to continue to use. I do think that would take away from maybe some of the stigma or the shame when somebody could just go in and just pick it up and just be discreet about it.
No,
Yeah, I
it's
agree.
really impressive how we moved from HIV being uncurable disease, and it was spreading so fast back in the day, and now
Mhm.
we have all this medication to prevent it, to treat it, so people can live with the status and still have a comfortable life. That's just really impressive how the medical industry is moving.
Oh, yes, it still does not have a cure. It's just very, very manageable.
Yeah, and speaking about manageable, I know that there is a second medication for those who have already come in contact with HIV and
Mhm.
they've seen it. So do you want to talk about PEP and what that is?
Sure, PEP stands for post exposure prophylaxis. It's for people who believe that they may have been exposed, whether it be through, same old intravenous needle sticks or behavior, sexual behavior. Say you think you have come in contact with someone and you have possibly, contracted this, you've got 72 hours to get to most likely an emergency room to get this one pill that will basically keep you from developing HIV. But the faster you get there, the more effective this pill will be. Now, that one does have the side effect of nausea, and I believe I've read maybe a few others, but they're very treatable, nothing major.
Do you know why the time period is so short of 72 hours? Because I don't know, maybe someone feels, but maybe they're not too sure and they don't want to, rush into it. Does it have to be between those 72 hours?
Yes, the faster you get to it, the more likely it is to, I guess, eradicate this from your system. So definitely within the 72 hours. And this is for emergency usage. If you're in high risk behavior all the time, PrEP would be a better option for you.
Yes, it's very good to know that those options are out there, because honestly, I didn't know that. So, I think we should have our community more aware of these options. So if
Yes.
you really feel like, you might be at risk, they should know that this option is out there. I think a lot
Mhm.
of people don't know about this.
Yes, that I agree. Just as I educate, people are just really amazed to hear of all the options.
So, Mariah, thank you for being here. I know we're going to be doing another one very soon. So, everyone, just stay very tuned. We'll be releasing it soon. And don't forget to demonstrate your love by sharing this podcast with your friends or family or giving us a review on Spotify and iTunes. Thank you. Until next time.